1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 included case fans. That's not bad. This episode is brought to you by CDKeyOffers.com. CDKeyOffers has a wide variety of software or game keys for a fraction of their usual retail price. You can get your usual PC game codes or even library codes for things like Steam, Uplay and Origin. But the most important part for us are the software codes. Here we can get software activation codes for things like MS Office or Windows 10 for a ridiculously cheap price. And right now you can also use the promo code TS20 to get a 20% discount to make the already cheap Windows 10 license even cheaper. If you want to get that nasty activation message away, make sure to head down to the links in the description below and don't forget to use the promo code TS20 for a 20% discount. Today we're gonna have a look at the Montech X3 Mesh case. When they reached out to us, I was a bit shocked by the amount of free fans they include in here. We may not know by now if these fans are even usable, but nevertheless, I have not seen a case that comes with every fan spot pre-filled, so that's already a pretty good start there. But let's start at the beginning. Specs. The Montech X3 is available in two different versions, a mesh and a glass one, each coming in white and black. The one that we have here today is the X3 Mesh, so everything we will be saying in this video will only apply to the mesh version. Being 370mm high, 480mm long and 210mm wide, the X3 Mesh fits right into the mid-tower category, though it is one of the shortest cases we have ever had. No matter the size, the X3 still comes with support for up to 80x motherboards. In the bottom we will find 7 breakout PCIe brackets. Behind them we have a little cover that can be moved around by using the thumb screw. In terms of drives, we will find 2 SSD brackets behind the motherboard tray, as well as a separate hard drive compartment behind the PSU supporting either 2 3.5-inch or 2 2.5-inch drives. Speaking of which, the PSU is separated in its own compartment in the bottom of the case, but it is viewable through a little cutout right next to the good looking but slightly tilted Montech logo. Beneath the case, there is also a little washable dust filter for the PSU. And although the space for the PSU is quite short with roughly 17 centimeters, I do want to point out that the case comes with the excellent feature of having a removable hard drive cage. So if you don't want to use any 3.5-inch drives like I usually, you can just put whatever PSU you want in there. The side of the case is covered with the nowadays mandatory tempered glass side panel. And although I love the fact that they use a hinge and magnet system instead of some cheap screws, my unit requires a little help in form of a small upwards push to actually close. For the I/O, Montech went with 2 USB 2.0, 1 USB 3.0 and the usual audio in and out and an extra light switch, which we will talk about in a minute. In terms of hardware compatibility, the X3 lets you use air coolers that are up to 160mm high and GPUs that are up to 305mm long. The front of the case is covered in a 3D-like triangle-shaped mesh structure, which I have definitely never seen somewhere else. Although Montech cuts air intake slots into the side of the front panel, you have to move the fans inside of the case for them to be actually used. And now we'll come to the fun part. Inside of the X3 there are 6 fan spots, a 120 in the back, 3 120s or 140s in the front and 2 120s in the top. And although the guy writing the spec sheet on Montech's website forgot to mention that the top actually supports 140s, because the screw holes are there and they fit, every single fan spot is pre-filled. A 120 RGB fan in the back, 2 120 RGB fans in the top, and 3 140 RGB fans in the front. That's definitely something I have not seen so far, but not everything that shines is gold. I said that these are RGB fans, and although there are a couple of colors on these fans, nothing on there is controllable. I should have already gotten this case quite some time ago, but because of shipping issues and whatnot it was delayed, so I already saw a bunch of other reviews. But reading or seeing it in a video does not prepare you for this. I don't know who is responsible for putting these together, but he should definitely get a raise. So their construction, reminding me of a movie I would love to forget, especially the second one, is responsible for everything regarding the fans. To power them on, you simply need to connect a Molex connector from your PSU to the last one, hit the light switch on the I/O panel, and that's basically all the choices you have. No fan speed control, no RGB control, Grandpa Molex just blasts everything out. Now, of course, this setup is far from perfect, and I would have much rather preferred a 3-pin ARGB and PVM, but this is a complete budget and beginner focused case. And even though the light is fixed and the fans are just blasting whatever they can, they are included in a case which should not be taken for granted. That being said, are they really that bad? I used a Ryzen 3700X clocked at 4.2 GHz and 1.4 volts V-core with the Montech Air Cooler 210 on top inside of the X3. Then I used the lightning switch, made it shine and hit the CPU with everything I've got. Here the air provided by the original fans was able to help cool down the CPU to 75 degrees C. Then I simply removed all of the original fans and replaced them with Arctic P12s in the top and back and P14s in the front. And this scenario at 100% fan speed, because now I can control it, the 3700X stayed at 73 degrees C. So in general I cannot say that these fans are unusable. I'm pretty sure that the Air Cooler 210 that I've used did condense my results quite a bit, and by using something bigger and better I might get results that are just much further apart. But this still showed that while using this case with an average cooler, the fans do perform okay. For the sound though, well, it's not the quietest. To their defense, running 3 P12s and 3 P14s at max speed is also not the most quiet experience either. Truth be told, the Air Cooler 210 was by far the biggest bottleneck in here, as I was even able to turn down the case fans to 40% fan speed while getting the same 75 degrees C as the original got. And with all of these numbers out, yes, the fans are not the best performing fans you can find, or certainly not. But you got 6 of them, and 3 of them are 140s, so you definitely are good to go. There is also a slight rattling noise going on in the background. For whatever reason, once I remove the dust filter, the noise just disappears. It's not the filter itself that rattles, like I could hold it and it would still rattle, it's the fan, but it's like just with the filter. But what about water cooling? Even though Montech did not mention anything about water cooling inside of the X3 on their website, we found that it is absolutely possible to use a up to 280 rad in the top and front, and if you remove the hard drive cage, you are even able to put a 360 in there. A 420 probably won't fit because of the water ports, that would just be too big, but a 360 should work. But do not forget that these fans are not the best choice for water cooling, and buying a random case and throwing away some exhaust fan is one thing, but getting a X3 and throwing away 6 of them is kind of different. So if you want to get water cooling at some point down the line, it will work. But if you want to get the case and water cool immediately, you may want to look somewhere else. When it comes to cable management, I would call it sufficient for the price point and target audience. There are enough cable cutouts around the mainboard, a couple of zip tie hooks in the background, and more than enough space between the motherboard tray and back panel. So I would call it minimum, but it's very much okay. Now on the quality. As mentioned before, my side panel needs a little help to close, and the metal used in here is pretty thin and flexes quite easily. But credit where credit is due. The feet on which the case stands are surprisingly high and sturdy for the price point, and the front mesh 3D shape is surprisingly well built. It doesn't flex too much, feels a bit sturdy and just looks pretty good, and of course it lets a lot of air in and out. So all in all, this may not be the perfect quality case, most certainly not, but from a airflow side it is pretty damn good considering this is a beginner-friendly budget case. And it's that beginner-friendly that I'm so focused on when it comes to this particular case. Cause, you see, what I learned so far is that people who want to get into PC building or building their first own PC, they forget about case fans. And it makes sense. The only thing they will focus on is to have the beefiest GPU followed by the hottest CPU, and the GPU is already air-cooled, and nowadays they will tend to go for a Ryzen 5 or 7, which already come with the CPU cooler. So in the end they are there, they put everything together just to realize that the crappy exhaust fan is just not enough to keep everything cool. And then stuff will overheat and they are angry. So in my opinion, this is exactly where this case fits in. It's a very budget-friendly case, which is perfect for beginners and especially for first-time builders. Sure, it doesn't give you anything exceptional and the fans are far from good, but the X3 Mesh is capable of doing exactly what beginners needs it to do without any expensive extra. And the price totally reflects that. This is going for around 69 euros or $69 on Amazon US. And for that price, I could get, for example, something like a Acer Hive, which has roughly the same feature set. It may be built a bit better, but it's plus minus the same thing. But it has only one fan in the back. And if I add 5 more fans to that, I am way over 100 euros. And no matter how much I looked around on the US market, all I found were cheaper cases that had either really bad airflow and or no fans, or much more expensive ones. So all in all, if you are a beginner or a first-time builder, or you just need to get the job done quickly and cost-effective, it won't get much better than that. Just keep in mind that the fans are a bit loud compared to what you could get on the market. On the could have been better side, for future updates, the only thing I would have loved to see, or what I think would have made the case perfect, is PVM. I don't care about the forced rainbow, but with PVM the noise issue would have been resolved to some degree and it would just have made a way better case, but in the end, budget. Okay, so that was my take on the Montech X3 Mesh and its black version. At this point I would like to thank Montech for reaching out to us and sending us over one of these rainbow bad boys. But no, a really impressive case, I must say. Of course, I will leave all the manufacturing and affiliate links down in the description below if you want to have another look at it. But if you want to keep watching, have a look at Montech's Air Cooler 210. I use it in this build and it matches quite good. Anyway, thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.